Hey guys, I'm here with the second deck tech video for the Black-White Conjurer's Closet deck I've been playing around with. You've seen the first three videos, you've seen the stuff the deck does, and it uses Conjurer's Closet and Flicker Wisp to bounce things around and just get a lot of value out of creatures with enter the battlefield abilities. And it's sort of a control deck early, sort of tries to block down, hold down the ground with things like Wall of Omens. And play a bunch of creatures who, go wide, like William Hedgemage and Sandstep Outcast, and then later in the game it plays like, a Grave Titan or a Massacre Worm or a Sun Titan, or duplicates, which you can't see here, they're down here, to sort of end the game in our favor. But after the first few rounds, most of which I've recorded, some of it I didn't record, like my opponent dropped after round one in one case when I actually played against a Delver opponent who was in the Just for Fun channel. They didn't have all the lands for it, so it wasn't like full on Delver. They had a bunch of comes into play, you gain 1 life lands from Khans of Tarkir, but we played a Massacre Worm that just massacred him and he just left. Not a card you see played very often, I guess, but so that kind of thing didn't get recorded. I also played against a deck that was really heavy in reanimation that I didn't record, and that deck made me realize that in general I need something in my deck to combat graveyards. Snapcaster Mage and Lingering Souls are two of the most prevalent cards in this format. They show up in all kinds of decks, and being able to get them out of my opponent's graveyard is good. There are lots of expensive ways to do this, but this is a budget deck. I don't want it to get any more expensive than it is as it is now. So I didn't want to run out and get Rest in Peace or Grafdigger's Cage, which are both incredibly expensive because they're basically the best anti-graveyard cards you can get. But I went the cheaper route, and I just grabbed a couple Bojuka Bogs. It's just a land that produces black mana that when it comes into play, I can exile all cards from my opponent's graveyard. It's kind of thinking about it, and there probably will occasionally be a situation where I want a Sidisi for a Bojuka Bog, as weird as that is. But sometimes you're playing against people. I mean, there's also decks that run Vengevine and decks that run the 2 black mana 2/1 who comes back from the graveyard with Landfall, whatever, I can't remember his name right now. There's Grave Crawlers running around. There's all kinds of stuff that are in graveyards. So I think we're having the Bojuka Bogs in here is nice. It's pretty much the only way I have to control graveyards. The downside about Bojuka Bog is it makes our Gwillian Hedgemage less likely to always on turn 3 to have at least one of both plains and swamp, or of 2 plains or 2 swamps in play. Sometimes she has both if you have Godless Shrine and then one of each. And on turn 4 she almost always has them, but it reduces the chances of that. That's something I'll keep my eye on. If it significantly reduces her power level, I may consider just running some kind of sideboard creature. There's a creature with Constellation that's three colorless and a black for a 2/4, I think, and when it comes into play, it exiles the opponent's graveyard, or when another enchantment comes into play, it exiles the opponent's graveyard. And that might be worth considering. I can exile the graveyard over and over again against decks that reload their graveyard a lot. So it might be worth considering if the Bog hurts our Hedgemage. It's just that a 4-mana card for that effect is kind of expensive. The other change I'm making is based in part on the game against the Elf Ramp deck I played against. There are lots of aggro decks with lots of little guys in them, and Massacre Worm is great against them, and we have Sidisi's, and he helps us get to our Massacre Worm when we need it. But I thought that it would be nice to have a second effect like that. I didn't want to get into the Massacre Worm. Massacre Worm, even though it's not played a lot, is kind of expensive. It's about 3 tickets because it's a mythic, and it's a pretty powerful mythic, but it's not, I've never seen it played in a tier 1 deck. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen that. If it were, it'd be even more expensive since it's a mythic. But I thought getting a Doomwake Giant seemed like a good sort of replacement. It's not quite as good as our Massacre Worm in our deck. But if we have Conjurer's Closet in play, you give everything -2/-2 until end of turn with the Doomwake Giant, because it'll do it twice. Plus, it goes off with our Oblivion Ring and with our Banishing Light, which isn't irrelevant at all. So it's a card that's going into our sideboard. We took out 1 Sin Collector for that. We took out 2 Swamps for the Bojuka Bogs. But that's how the deck stands now. We're going to continue to progress with it. Some other cards I'm kind of considering cutting are these 2 Sandstep Outcasts. They're probably the least, the card in the deck that generates the least value for what it is. Even when you blink it over and over again, it's William Hedgemage is clearly a lot better. That's why we have 4 of her and 2 of them. I mean, getting a flyer is one thing, but she can, by blinking, take things out pretty quickly. And she can also, she makes a lot of Kithkin. And he just does one thing. And, when you have Gwillian Hedgemage in your deck at the same mana cost, Sidestep Outcast just doesn't seem that great. So I may look for some other effects. Some things I've been thinking about are like enter the battlefield, destroy target creature effects. We have our duplicants now for that. But having it at a lower converted mana cost might be nice. The nice thing about duplicant is he can do it to anything. He doesn't even care if it's like Emrakul. He can even take out Emrakul, believe it or not. Granted, if they play Emrakul, they probably won anyway. But the point is he can do it. So anyway, those are the things I'm thinking about. Those are the minor changes that I made to the main board and sideboard. And I think they'll improve the deck. It'll have more options to side in against super aggressive decks with lots of little guys. And it'll be able to deal with graveyards more effectively. And we'll see how that works going forward. So thanks for watching. This was the second Deck Tech video. We're going to play a few more rounds with this deck, see what we think about it, and we'll go from there. So thanks for watching.